Hello from Freedomtax Accounting. We are an accounting firm here in Florida where we have been providing quality tax and accounting services now for over 20 years. We are doing this video called How to Use the Idle Funds for Uber, Uber Eats, Lyft, Doordash, Rideshare, delivery persons. If you do this type of services, this video is for you. Why have we decided to do a video specifically for you? Because in the comments section of our videos, there's a lot of you that are Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, DoorDash drivers who have a lot of questions. And thank you for supporting our YouTube channel. So we decided to do a video specifically for your industry. Now we are recording this video on August 3rd. Why do I emphasize the date? Because if you have been following the EIDL PPP saga, you know that these loans have been changing constantly. So whatever we discuss today may change tomorrow. So that's the importance of subscribing to our channel so you're always with the latest and most current information regarding these SBA loans. Now let's get the legal stuff out of the way. This video is intended for educational purposes and should not be taken as legal or tax advice. You should consult with your financial professional about your unique financial situation before acting on anything discussed in this video. Freedomtax Accounting is providing educational content to help small businesses owners become more aware of certain issues and topics, but we cannot give blanket advice to a broad audience. Freedomtax Accounting or its members cannot be held liable for any use or misuse of this content. Okay, now that our lawyers told us to say that, let's continue with the presentation. Now, who is this video for? If you do any type of rideshare service, if you do any type of delivery service, you're self-employed, independent contractor, a sole proprietor, and you file a Schedule C on your business tax return. If you don't know what a Schedule C is, this is the Schedule C, okay? If you report your rideshare or delivery service income in a Schedule C inside your personal tax return, this video is for you. I would say that 95% of Uber, Lyft drivers, DoorDash drivers, they're all self-employed. Very few of them work under an S Corp or a C Corp. Okay, so no, if you file a Schedule C, rideshare delivery service, this video is for you for your specific industry. Okay, so what will we talk about in this video? We will talk about what you can pay with your idle funds. We will also talk about what you cannot pay with your idle funds. We will also discuss how you can use the idle funds to pay down credit cards, how to pay yourself from the idle loan, and even how to buy a new vehicle for your rideshare business using idle funds. But most importantly, we will also discuss how you should structure your bank accounts. For what? To be ready for any future audit from the SBA or the IRS, okay? Remember when we all signed an agreement with the SBA, when we got the idle loan, in order to get the funds, we signed a loan agreement contract. If you don't know how it looks like, this is the contract that we signed. I say we because I have a separate business with my wife, and we also got the idle funds. Okay, so this is the loan agreement. And if you scroll down to page 4, there is a section that you agree to follow the books and records rules. Basically, if you read all this, it says several things. First of all, it says that you have to maintain the books and records of the accounting of your business for 5 years because the SBA can audit back 5 years. It also says that you are authorizing the SBA to make any kind of audit at any time, and if there is an audit, it's under it with your expense. If the SBA audits you, you have to pay for an audit. Here it says, borrower will furnish to the SBA no later than 3 months following the expiration of this fiscal year, and in such forms, the SBA may require borrowers' financial statements. Now, this is saying that if most self-employed, I would say all of self-employed, their fiscal year ends December 31st. So this is saying that by the end of the third month after the fiscal year, that would be the month of March of every year, the SBA may require you to give them your financial statements. And it says here that such financial statements with an accountant's review report prepared by an independent public accountant. Okay, so we have called the SBA several times to ask them, is the SBA going to make self-employed businesses, anyone who got the EIDL loan, is the SBA going to make everyone who got an EIDL loan present their financial statements by the month of March of every year? Some SBA agents have told me yes. Some SBA has told me no. Some SBA agents have told me they don't know. Okay, but it is in the contract. Okay, so we need to prepare for that. So that's why it is important that we show you how to properly structure your bank accounts. Okay, to prepare for an audit. Okay, now remember that the EIDL contract has the final word. Okay, know what the EIDL contract says and follow those rules, even if the SBA agent said something different, because as I mentioned earlier, when we call the SBA to talk to an agent, the things they say, they're not reliable. For the same questions, they say yes, and then they say no. Okay, but if you read the contract, there's a section called general provision, and it says that the borrower may not use an oral statement of the SBA to contradict or alter the written terms of this note. Basically, this is saying it doesn't matter what an SBA agent told you, this contract is what's going to decide what you need to do. Okay, and obviously at the bottom, nobody wants to get into this part, misuse of loans. Anyone who wrongfully misapplies any proceeds of the loan will be civilly liable for SBA for 1.5 times the proceeds dispersed, in addition to other remedies allowed by the law. So if the SBA finds out that you have been misusing the funds, you will get a penalty, and they may go after you with a civil lawsuit. Okay, now remember that these are SBA rules. Okay, we do not make the rules. The rules are made by the SBA, and it's important to remember that the EIDL program has two parts. It has the EIDL grant, which was $1,000 per employee, up to $10,000. But they're working now on a bill that if it passes, everyone is going to get the full 10,000. But that bill has not passed into law yet. And the second part is the EIDL loan. Okay, now even though there are two parts, the difference is the grant, you don't have to pay it back, but the same spending rules apply for both. So the rules of how to spend it apply for the grant and apply for the loan. The only difference is the grant, you don't have to pay it back. Okay, now before we go into detail on what you can pay with the SBA or what you cannot pay with the SBA, we feel that if you know what the purpose of the EIDL is, it'll be easier for you to determine what you can use the EIDL for and what you cannot use the EIDL funds. So keep this in mind when choosing how to use the funds. The purpose of the EIDL funds are to help your business keep operating during a disaster. It is meant to help you carry you through and keep your business afloat. It is not meant to make your business grow or expand your business. So as long as you have that in mind, I think it'll help you make good decisions on where and how to use the idle funds. If you take a look at the SBA website, this is what it says. The economic injury disaster loan, or idle, funds are for business working capital. Important, the word business. It's not meant for personal expenses. It's made for business expenses. And now a lot of you are saying, but I'm self-employed. Yes, you're self-employed, but you still have a business. It may not be an incorporated business. It may not be an LLC, a corporation, but as self-employed, you still have a business. And the funds are for business working capital. Keep in mind this term because we're going to discuss it later. Funds are for business working capital to pay ordinary and necessary business debts and obligations. Funds cannot be used to expand or improve the business or refinance existing debt. So we will go into detail in this definition, but we just wanted to show you what the SBA website says about where you can use the idle funds. Now remember this term where it says we can use the funds for business working capital. Now what's the issue with working capital? Depending on the industry, working capital has different definitions. But the definition that the SBA has for working capital is operational expenses. So in the eyes of the SBA, working capital means operational expenses. And what are operational expenses? They are the cost of keeping your business running. Okay? Now, this is the list of the operational expenses that if you are a rideshare or a delivery service person, these are the things you can pay with your idle funds. You can pay the vehicle gas, the maintenance and repair, and remember, this is the vehicle that you use for your business. If you have more than one vehicle and you only use one of those vehicles for the rideshare or delivery, you can only pay these expenses for that vehicle. If you have another vehicle that you use only for personal stuff, you cannot pay the expenses of that other vehicle. Okay, so you can pay the gas, maintenance, meaning tires, oil change, car wash. If you need to repair your vehicle, you can pay it with the idle. The business vehicle insurance, once again, for the insurance that you use for the vehicle you use for your business, okay? The tolls, the vehicle registration, the license, the vehicle lease payments. You can make the monthly lease payments of the business vehicle. Now, you cannot pay down or pay off that vehicle, but you can make the monthly lease payments, okay? Business related parking fees, snacks or beverage for the customers. So if you do Uber or Lyft and you provide your clients with snacks or beverages for the customers, you can pay it with the idle funds. But snacks, food, and beverage for you, you cannot pay it with the idle funds. There are some Uber drivers who need to pay city or airport fees. These you can pay with the idle as well. The business cell phone, the cell phone you use for your business, okay? Or if you don't have a separate business cell phone, you can only pay the portion of the cell phone that you use for your business. Any dash mounts or chargers that you need to buy for the car, not only yours, but if you provide chargers for your clients in the car, if you buy chargers for them, you can also pay it with the idle funds. Any first aid kits, tools for the car that you use for maintenance, any roadside assistance services that you pay, or any software that you pay for your business. For example, if you use an accounting software, like a lot of Uber drivers use QuickBooks Self-Employed, you can pay that monthly fee with the idle funds. Or if you have an accountant that you pay to do your accounting, you can pay your accountant with the idle funds. If you use software to keep track of your mileage, okay, you can also pay that software with the idle funds. So this is the list of the things you can pay with the idle funds. Now, the SBA has rules on what you cannot pay, okay, and we will discuss them in detail. But after we discuss what you cannot pay with the idle funds, remember that we will also discuss how you can use the idle funds to pay down credit card debt, how to pay yourself, how to buy a new vehicle, and we will also show you how to structure your bank accounts. This is very important to prepare for an SBA or IRS audit. Okay. Now, the first things you cannot use the idle funds for is to refinance long-term debt. So you cannot use the idle funds to pay off or prepay your home mortgage, even though we're going to show you in the future of this video, how to pay your rent and how to pay the monthly home mortgage. We're going to show you how to pay it using these funds. But you cannot pay off your home mortgage. You cannot prepay your home mortgage. If your vehicle has a lease or a loan, you cannot pay off the vehicle lease, or you cannot prepay your vehicle lease or loan. Or if you have other loans, lines of credit, or credit card debt, you cannot pay off those expenses and you cannot prepay, okay? But in further on in this video, we are going to discuss how to handle credit card debt. So if you have any kind of long-term debt, you cannot use the funds to prepay or pay off those expenses, okay? Now, you cannot use the idle funds to pay penalties or fines. For example, if a cop gives you a driving ticket, or if you get state or county fines for not following the rules of transportation. If you get penalties or fines, you cannot use the idle funds to pay those penalties or fines. You cannot use the idle funds for investments. Very important, because we have heard and we had even talked to persons that we consult that they have used this money to buy a home. No, you cannot use these funds for investments. You cannot buy real estate. You cannot buy funds. You cannot trade in the stock exchange. You cannot buy cryptocurrency. You cannot buy artwork, jewelry. You cannot invest in your retirement plan or in annuities. So you cannot use the idle funds for that. You cannot use the idle funds for contractor losses. What does this mean? If a contractor ripped you off, you cannot use the idle funds to pay your business or yourself back for the lost money. For example, let's say that your car was broken and you paid someone to fix your car. That person took the money and fled. You don't know where that person is. Whatever funds you use to pay that contractor, you cannot use the idle funds to pay back that amount or that you lost, okay? You cannot use the idle funds for acquisition of fixed assets or tangible assets. For example, you cannot use the funds to buy a home, furniture, appliances, TVs, home renovation. You cannot use the funds to buy a new vehicle. Now, unless you can prove, remember, because you can use the idle funds for repairing your vehicle that you use for your business, not the other personal vehicle. If your vehicle that you use for business is broken and you can prove that fixing the current vehicle is more expensive than buying a new one, then you can buy a new vehicle. Now, you have to be able to document this in case of an audit. You need to show, this is the vehicle I had. Look, this is what it was going to cost me to repair it, and I bought a new car for a lesser amount. If you can prove that, then yes, you can buy a new vehicle. If not, then you will need to repair your current vehicle, and you cannot use the idle loan to buy a new vehicle. Okay, now you can use your funds. That was the list of the things you cannot use the idle funds. But remember that if you're still making sales, you can use your funds, the sales you are making currently, to pay those non-allowed idle funds expenses. Now, that's why it's good to have the idle funds on a separate bank account. Okay, now we're going to teach you now what's the proper bank account structure if you have an idle loan. Okay, now it is always good practice to separate accounts for business and personal. A lot of self-employed individuals tell me, but I'm self-employed, I don't need a separate account. No. Remember, even though you're self-employed, you have a business. The key is to separate personal and business expenses. That's the way the IRS likes it. And you know what? That's the way the SBA will require it as well in case of an audit. Okay? Remember that you signed the idle contract, which I showed you earlier. In that contract, you are saying to the SBA that you are agreeing to keep proper books and records. Okay. Remember that the SBA can audit at any time for 5 years. If at any time, if you still owe, if you still have an idle loan, even if you paid it back in full, the SBA has the capacity of saying, I want to audit your account 5 years back. And that's the SBA. The IRS can audit 7 years back. So be prepared, okay? Even though we're not sure when the SBA is going to audit, it is better to plan than plan to fail, okay? So remember that the SBA may require that you show them your financial statements every year by the end of March. This is not clear yet, but that is what the contract says. Okay. Now, this is the bank account structure that you need to do. You're going to have 3 bank accounts. And remember, you're self-employed, so this can all be 3 separate checking accounts under your name. Okay, so you're going to have 3 separate accounts under your name because you're the one who signed the contract. The first account is going to be called the EIDL account. The second account is going to be called your business account. And the third account is going to be your personal account. Okay. If you can take a screenshot of this image and print it, it'll help you a lot. Okay. So 3 bank accounts. What can you pay with the idle account? You're going to pay all the operational expenses. Remember this slide, which we discussed earlier? This is the slide where we discussed everything that you can pay with the idle funds. So with this idle account, you're going to pay all this: vehicle gas, maintenance, repairs, insurance, tolls, registrations, the monthly lease payments, parking fees, snacks, beverage for customers, city airport fees, the business cell phone, dashboard mounts, chargers, snack and beverages, we already mentioned that, first aid kits, tools for the car, roadside assistance services, and software that you use for your business. All these are operational expenses which you can pay with your idle account. Okay. You can also pay the operational expenses portion on the credit card bill. We will go into detail further on in this video, but basically, if you're paying some of these expenses with a credit card, every month you take a look at your credit card invoice and you sum from the credit card bill, what have I paid? Have I paid anything under this list with my credit card? That portion of the credit card invoice you can pay with idle. But once again, keep documents. You can even use the idle account to pay down your idle loan. Even though, remember that you have 12 months deferment, at some point you will have to start making monthly payments to the SBA for your idle loan. You can pay down your idle loan from your idle account. Okay, so this is the idle account. Let's go now to your business account. In this account, any new sales that you're making currently, if you're still operating, all the deposits you get from Uber, Lyft, delivery services, all your new sales will go to this business account. Okay, from this business account, you can also pay all the things you cannot pay with your operational expenses, business expenses that you cannot pay with the idle. You pay with your business account. You cannot pay personal expenses from your business account, but any other business expense that you need to pay that is not in this list, you pay with your business account. You can also pay yourself from this account. And later on this video, I'm going to show you what amount you can pay yourself and how to pay yourself. But if you need to pay yourself from this account. But you're going to see in this video later on that you can also pay yourself from the idle account, but very specific circumstances, which we're going to discuss further on. Now, you can also pay the operational expenses from the business account. So everything that's on this list, that remember I told you to pay from the idle account, you can pay them from the business account as well, okay? But if you want to use the idle loans efficiently, you pay them with the idle, but you don't have to pay all these from the idle account. You can pay them from their business. A lot of people want to do that. Let's say that they're making enough sales and they can pay their operational expenses and they want to pay their idle loan down faster. So if you pay your operational expenses from the business account, that means that you're going to have more funds in the idle account and you can make larger payments toward your idle loan and pay it off faster. Okay, you can also pay down your idle loan from the business account as well. Now, your third bank account is going to be your personal bank account. Here, you're going to pay all your personal expenses. So your mortgage, your rent, the utilities, energy, water, power, food and groceries, your clothing, your personal credit card where you pay your personal expenses, or the portion of the credit card that are not business expenses you pay from your personal bank account. Okay, if you have vehicle expenses that are not from the business vehicle, okay, or for example, if you have two vehicles, one vehicle is for business, the other vehicle is for your personal use. All the expenses from the non-business vehicle you pay from your personal bank account. If you have health insurance, all your other personal expenses, if you need to go on vacation, buy gifts for your wife, any school things for the children, all those are business personal expenses which you pay with your personal bank account. And you pay your taxes from your personal tax account. Okay. Why do you pay your taxes from the personal? Because even though you have a business, you file a Schedule C, the tax liability from the Schedule C becomes a personal tax liability. So you pay your taxes from the personal bank account. Now, if you don't have enough funds on your personal bank account to pay these personal expenses, we will show you later on this video how you take money from this account or from this account in order to pay yourself. But we will discuss that later on. Okay? Now, let's discuss credit card debt. Okay, so how to use the idle funds to pay down credit card debt. There are two possible scenarios. The best case scenario is that you have two credit cards, that you have one credit card where the only thing you pay with that credit card is for your rideshare and delivery service operational expenses. So from this list, operational expenses of your business, if you have a credit card that you use only for those expenses, that's good. And then you have another credit card which is only for personal expenses. The other scenario, which is not that good, but is the second best scenario, is that you have one personal credit card which you pay both business and personal stuff with that single credit card. You can use the idle funds to pay the business portion of that credit card bill, but you will need to keep good records and documentation. Okay, so even if you have a credit card to pay business expenses, you need to follow the idle guidelines. What does that mean? Remember that with the idle funds, you cannot buy a vehicle. So you have to follow the same rules with their credit card. You cannot buy a vehicle with the credit card and then pay the credit card. So the same rules apply on the things you cannot use the idle funds for. You cannot use that with the credit card. Okay, now if you have now credit card debt because you have incurred debt from the business, okay, we suggest that any business related expense that's from this list that you have paid with your credit card after January 31st. Why January 31st? Because this is the official date that the government said the pandemic started. Okay, so you can take a look at your monthly bank statements from February 2020 forward. Okay, and take a look at all your credit card statements from February up to now in 2020 and sum up all the business operational expenses that you have paid with your credit card. Sum it up, and that amount you can use the idle funds to pay that portion of the credit card bill, or if you already paid it, you can pay yourself that amount as you're going to reimburse your business expenses as the owner. Okay, so once again, let me go through that again. If you have used your personal credit card to pay business expenses on this list from February 2020 to now, in order to get that money back, two ways. Take the monthly statements from February 2020 until now, sum up all the business operational expenses you have paid with the credit card. You don't sum the personal expenses, okay? And whatever that number is, you can use the idle funds to pay that portion of the credit card invoice, or if you already paid the invoice with personal funds, you can reimburse that amount to yourself. Okay, so that's the way that you can bring down credit card debt with idle funds. Now, how to pay yourself? This is one of the most common questions we get when we are providing consultation over the phone or Skype, or we can do all meetings virtually. Okay, so the question is, okay, so how do I pay myself and how much? There are two things you can do. Okay, now rule of thumb says that you have to pay yourself the same amount as 2019. Now, in the eyes of the government, how much have you paid yourself in 2019 is not how much you've taken from the bank account. You need to take a look at line 31 of your Schedule C. So if you take a look at your Schedule C in 2019, you go all the way down to line 31. Whatever number's there That's the number that the IRS says that is how much you have paid yourself in 2019. That's your yearly wages for 2019. Okay, so whatever amount that is there, officially, that's the amount that you can take from the EIDL loan and pay yourself. Okay, now what happens if you need now you can first option is to pay yourself from the business bank account. Last resort is to use the EIDL funds to pay yourself. Let's go into that deeper. These are your three bank accounts: the EIDL account, business bank account, and your personal bank account. All right, if you need funds to pay these personal expenses, remember you're going to pay your mortgage, your rent, utilities, food, groceries, clothing, credit card, non-business vehicle expenses, health insurance, personal expenses, taxes. All these expenses you need to pay with your personal bank account. If you don't have enough funds to pay any one of these expenses, first option is to look at your business bank account where you are currently making sales. If you have funds here, transfer those funds to your personal account and pay those personal expenses. Don't pay it with the business account. Transfer funds to your personal account and pay them off with your personal bank account. That is your best and first option. Now, if you don't have enough funds in the business bank account and you have been administering them well, and you still need personal funds to pay your personal expenses, last resort, take money from the EIDL account, transfer it to your personal bank account, and pay off the personal um, expense. But you're going to have to keep records and documentation that the reason you took money from the EIDL account to pay yourself is that you did not have enough funds here in your personal account and you did not have enough funds, that you were not making enough sales in your business bank account. So that's the way you can pay yourself. Now, remember that documentation is key. Documentation is the most important thing in any audit, either being the SBA or the IRS. So keep records of your bank statements, keep your invoices, keep receipts of everything you pay with the EIDL funds. Now, if you have invoices and receipts, we advise that you take pictures or you scan them and that you keep a digital folder. Why? Receipts and invoices tend to fade. And an auditor doesn't care if an invoice is faded. Okay, so you need to keep a digital file. Okay, now if your EIDL account, this one, you're going to start using it. If your EIDL account runs out of funds, you can close the account, but make sure that you have all the monthly bank statements before closing the account. Remember, the SBA can audit for 5 years and the IRS can audit for 7 years. Okay, now, because even though it has rules, and we've seen it has a lot of rules and restrictions, it is still a good commercial loan. Every commercial loan has rules and regulations. The EIDL is a very good commercial loan. It's a loan with very low monthly payments. You have 30 years to pay it back, very low interest rate, and you have a 12-month payment deferral. And if you got the funds, you can remember the process was very fast and very easy. In most cases, the SBA did not ask for any documentation. Okay, if you have been through the process of getting a commercial loan with a bank, It takes a lot of time, and they ask for a lot of documentation. This was not the case. So the government made it very easy for you to get the funds, but now they want you to follow the rules. As long as you follow the rules and you don't miss your idle monthly payments, we think you will be okay. Now, some accounting tips if you got the idle program. We know that every financial situation is different. You may be making sales, but a lot of people are struggling right now with their financial situation. Now, if possible, we recommend that you start making the monthly EIDL loan payments now to save on accumulated interest. Okay, why? Because even though you have 12 months to start making payments, the loan will accrue interest in those 12 months. So if you don't want to accrue those interests, you can, if you can start making those monthly EIDL loan payments now. There's no penalties for prepayment. If you don't know how to do that, you pay via the pay.gov website. You can look for our YouTube video called How to Pay the EIDL Loan. We show you step by step on how to make the monthly payments through this website. Now, if you want to pay the idle loan in full, that you want to return and pay it off, you need to call the SBA first at this phone number, 800-659-2955. Why? Because you need to ask what is your loan balance in order to pay it off. As of now, as of today, there's no way of checking your loan balance online. You need to call the SBA, find out your final loan balance, and let them know that you want to pay it in full. Okay? Now, we have discussed this in a very generic term. Every case can have its specific details. So we always recommend that you consult with your CPA before doing any kind of decision. Okay? If you have any doubts on how you can use the funds for something, it is always good to consult with your CPA first. We have a lot of clients that call us and tell us, look, I have the loan. Can I buy this? Can I buy that? And then we consult them and how they can use the funds. Okay. We recommend that you take time to consult with your CPA with your specific case and make an idle budget plan for your case. That way you make sure that you have the correct structure and that for your specific case, you're using the idle loans correctly, right? Now, thank you for watching this video. If you think you have received value out of this video, like and share it with your friends. The more you like the video, the more YouTube shows this information to more rideshare services and delivery services people. Remember that we're praying for you, we're praying for your family, we're praying for your business. We are trusting God that He's in control in this pandemic. Yes, we take the necessary precautions, wear a mask, okay? But we cannot have fear. We don't have anything to fear because God is with us, okay? Also, remember to subscribe to our channel. We are doing our best to keep you updated with the latest information regarding all the SBA loans. If you need to contact us, for example, if you want to set up a consultation with us, we have lowered our consultation rate in order to help more business owners. Or if you need any type of tax and accounting needs, we can help you as well. Even though we are in Florida, we are authorized by the federal government to provide tax and accounting services to individuals and businesses in all 50 U.S. states. Now, a lot of you are asking questions in the comments of the videos. Thank you for those comments. We will do our best to answer all of them, but sincerely, there's so many questions. We're getting 200 to 300 questions a day. So sometimes we don't have enough time to answer all of them, but we will do our best to answer all the questions you have in the comments of these videos. If you do not know us, we are part of Freedom Group. We are a group of 4 companies where we have the tax accounting firm, we have the immigration law firm, we have a real estate business, and we have an insurance and financial planning business as well. So we can help you in many ways. Once again, this is our contact information. Like this video. We hope that this video has been a blessing to you, that it has answered a lot of your questions regarding how to use the idle funds, and subscribe to our channel. All right. Thank you, and God bless you. Bye bye.